Hello and welcome to the show. I am here today going to be taking a look at the Crew Motorfest. A game that I really want to like, but a game that I am also really struggling to like. I know that sounds a little bit odd. Don't worry, we will get into all of this. First things first, it has a spiker in it. I'm always happy to see a game that has a spiker in it, but you know, bonus points there. This is an awesome car. Let's start with the first obvious thing, okay? The map. Well, I say obvious. It is important to talk about this one. The previous two games, the Crew games, I cannot speak, we're off to a flying start today, have been focused on the entirety of the United States, if you like. This one is just Hawaii. It is a much smaller map, considerably smaller. Okay, I know the United States were scaled down and so on, but still, this is a much smaller map. I mean, when you say Hawaiian racing games, your mind immediately jumps to Test Drive, which it will probably forever, if I'm being honest. I think this is a smaller version of it. It certainly feels like a smaller version than the Test Drive one as well. Now, to me, it's not the biggest problem in the world, this. As long as the map is interesting, this is the critical part. As long as the map is interesting, it's varied, it feels lively, and all of that kind of stuff, I don't mind. I don't care if this is smaller than the previous ones, because one of the problems, I mean, Test Drive had it, to an extent, Cruise had it, was just having these big, open, empty maps, where there's just not much going on, and there's just space for the sake of space, for want of a better way to describe it. And I feel like this strikes a decent balance. It isn't as big, but it does seem interesting. There are some parts where it feel like roads, like for example here, that feel unnecessarily wide. I'm pretty sure you could fit 2 cars wide per lane. I've never been to Hawaii though. Maybe there are massive dual carriageways through towns. I don't know. It feels a bit unnecessarily big in places. There are some very cool mountain roads. I'm currently doing the Japanese playlist, so we may well be driving on those as we head through here. But yeah, I'm not that fussed about the size of the map, particularly. It doesn't feel like it's a tiny map. It strikes a good balance between being interesting and exploration. But it does run across my first problem with all of this, and that is the fast travel system, or lack of. So there is a way to fast travel. You can fast travel in this game. Sorry, let's go back to the map again. You can fast travel, but you can only really fast travel to specific locations. Can I fast travel? So this is a playlist I haven't started yet. I can't fast travel to. The playlist I'm currently doing, I can't fast travel to the events. I can fast travel to wherever its container is. This is like its start point. I can fast travel there, but I have to drive to each of them. I mean, I guess if I wanted to be a bit lazy, I could fast travel to this bit and just go to here. I mean, this is important that the map is smaller because, my God, there's so much pointless driving. Now, do not get me wrong. I like exploring and driving around. And you could make the argument that the point... So you unlock fast travel at level 10, sorry, when you've got completed 10 playlists, which is quite a long time into the game. You could make the point that it's trying to get players to explore and whatnot. Yeah, okay, sure. But the thing is, if your map is good, players want to explore it. If there is something interesting going on, people naturally are going to want to explore it if you make it interesting enough. Some people might just want to go and do some races. For example, me might just want to go and do some races, you know, get some money, unlock some stuff, and then go exploring a little bit later. I don't know why it's determined to... I say waste so much time, but it takes so long. It will take so long to go through all of those playlists to unlock what should just be a basic feature. And it's not even like you can fast travel. I can accept if it's a, you know, you can only fast travel to roads you've driven on. I actually quite like that as a system. I think the Crew 2 did that. You can fast travel. Once you've driven down a road, you can then fast travel to it later. Test Drive did it as well. Fantastic. It means you explore a little bit, but if you want to just go and jump and do some races, you can kind of make it work. This system is just frustrating, for want of a better word. And the playlists themselves, I mean, so, you know, we're going to jump into to this Japanese one that we're doing. Okay, so until you've completed 3 playlists, you're basically driving loaned cars, so you can't upgrade them, you can't choose what you're running into these races. I don't know how many of the playlists further on are also going to be restricted. I'm sure the game is going to be starting opening up and so on. These playlists take a damn long time to get through. Admittedly, this Japanese one has had some of the shortest races that I've come across in the maybe 3 or 4 minute long races. Some of the other ones can have some really quite long races. And there's 10 of them per play. Oh, I don't know why I thought we started in neutral there. We don't. It just feels like the game is determined to give you an incredibly long tutorial before getting into the actual fun stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, tutorials in games can be useful, can be helpful. If you're playing an incredibly complex strategy game, for example, some form of guidance is helpful so you can learn. This is a driving game. You go as fast as possible from A to B. That's about all you need to know, especially in a very arcadey racing game. I don't know why it felt the need to have such an incredibly slow build-up. Whoa, whoopsie, we've gone way too sideways through there. Yeah, for a game like this, it feels incredibly restrictive. A game that, let's face it, should be much more about freedom and all of that. You just want to be hand-holdy for multiple hours at a time. And the problem is that's put me off this one. I've not really gotten into this game as much as I would probably like to, and it is down to this restrictions. It's down to this. I say I can't be bothered almost, for want of a better way of phrasing it, and I doubt I'm going to be the only person that's going to be a little bit put off by this. And the thing is, there's a good game underneath all of it. The driving physics, for example. Let's go into that one. Yeah, this is an arcade game. That's fine. I'm fine with having some arcadey physics. Not everything has to be ultra super realistic and all of that. I'm fine having a fun arcadey racing game. This does it pretty well, actually. It's an improvement on the previous Crew. I didn't mind the previous Crew games, but this one here just feels a little bit more sorted. The cars are a bit more predictable in how they're going to behave. They do occasionally, especially on some of the faster cars, they occasionally have moments of weirdness, and they, for want of a better word, they feel like they rotate slightly funny. Less in this than they did in previous ones. I can't think of the best way. It almost feels like there's a pivot point in the very center of the car that when the back end lets go, it almost slightly rotates around that rather than how a car would actually behave. But that's very nitpicky with that, and I say it might feel different to everybody else. It's still a fun enough system. And I am apparently inexperienced with it. I am experienced with it. I'm still learning how to get the best out of the vehicles. You've got a rewind mechanic if you can't be asked to redo these races. But yeah, it's a decent arcade handling. If you're going in this expecting crazy realistic driving, you're not going to find that here. But it is fun. It is fun. And you want to slide around the cars and all of that good stuff. You absolutely can. So I haven't really got any criticisms of the driving physics at all. Not huge criticism of the AIs either in this one. Previous games quite rubber bandy, and while that can work in arcade games like Burnout, for example, where you sort of want the chaos, in this it gets frustrating, especially on a longer race if you spend a long time and work really hard. You've got rubber bandy AI catching up 10 seconds in a couple of checkpoints. That doesn't really happen here. You're seeing in this race here actually having a relatively close battle with the MX-5. In general, if you get out ahead, as long as you don't make mistakes, you're going to stay there. The AI aren't going to suddenly ping up behind you, which is nice to see. I'm glad they went that route with this one. I'm playing this on difficulty-wise. I'm playing with traction and stability control turned off. Still got the ABS on because I haven't quite got a feel for that yet. And the racing difficulty on 4 out of 5. So there is a notch to go up to once I've got a bit more hang of the handling. But I can't really complain at the AI's racing around here. They do seem to be very quick with the boats, but that's probably more on me than anything. And the higher difficulty play on, the more XP you're going to get. Always like that as a system. Upgrades, same as in the Crew 2. It's not the most exciting upgrade system. And let's be honest, as I said in these early things, you're barely using them because everything's a loaned car. But you do have... Do I have any parts I can show on this Spiker? I guess if I go in here, sure. Oh, apparently I have 70? Where the hell did all of these come from? Well, I got plenty. So, yeah. How is my brakes increasing my power? That doesn't make any sense. So, as you go through, you unlock these parts that will make your car better and faster. I'm going to shove all of these on the Spiker, because why not? And every time you unlock a new part, I believe it is always better than the previous one. So you will gradually just get faster and faster bits. I don't know whether they're going to be like special parts or how all of it is going to work in the long run. Jesus, this is now becoming a right beast of a Spiker. This is what we like. Let's give it some much better suspension. Some good tyres. That seems like a great idea to me. 751 horsepower. Fantastic. So yeah, I don't know what lucky means. I guess maybe better chance of getting exciting stuff from events. I haven't seen that stats page before. I digress. Anyway, yeah. It's a good enough upgrade system. It isn't the most complex one. You've got tuning as well. I mean, it's pretty detailed, to be fair. More detailed than I was expecting from the Crew. I don't know what I'm doing with any of this. I'm not going to touch it. I mean, I know how gearboxes work and everything. But yeah, it's cool to see this. Does that... Wait, hold on, what was the... So if I put it as short as possible... Yeah, I mean, you can see in real time it is updating the stats as long as possible, 220. More detail in there than I was expecting from the Crew, which is cool. This is probably not a very good car. Oh, it has got some upgrades for it. You have got some visual customization as well. This is not a great car to show you any of this stuff necessarily with. I say that though, there are some more options with the Spiker than I was expecting, to be fair. We can have colour, we can change the side mirrors, not that I'd want to. Do we have... Oh, we can have many vents. All of the vents are important, I will have you know. Do you have a mighty wing? Wasn't there a Spiker race car? The C8 had a race car variant, I think. I mean, like one, probably. But there we go. Yeah, it's... You know, there is a fun amount of customization for the vehicles. The fact that the Spiker's actually got this much impresses me. I hadn't looked at the Spiker's customization. You could even mess around with the interior. Oh, good God. That is a colour. Oh, no, don't ruin a beautiful car like that. I mean, the red's okay. I actually kind of like that with the white interior, the red outside. I kind of like that. You know what? Let's go with that. Oh, and we've got interior style as well. Fantastic. I kind of weirdly like that. I weirdly like that. I've got different materials for the interior. Okay, can't do anything with the insert. Why on earth would you ever change this beautiful car? I do want to apply that. There we go. So, yeah, you've got fun customization. In fact, while I'm on the subject of vehicles, I might as well talk about the car list as well here. So... If we go... I can get from the pause menu, can't I? Yes, I can. No, I can't. Shop from the pause menu. That's how we get to it. I apologise. So, there is quite a lot of vehicles in the game. Now, the game says 600 cars. Take that with a pinch of salt, because this is including variants of the same car. For example, there is an NSX, but there's three Acuras, but there's three NSXs. There's a Drift 1 and there's a GT3 car. Okay. But the actual selection stuff here is cool. You know, you've got your expected stuff like an NSX, but you've got some slightly more wacky stuff. You've got Atoms and Nomads. You know, okay, you might expect a Vulcan and some Audis, but there is also this. There is also a bi-wing plane, because of course planes, bikes, monster trucks, boats are all back. You're probably not going to use them for a huge amount, but they are here, which is awesome. The Mighty Wing Bentley race car, yep, that's about. And... wasn't this thing stupidly expensive in real life? I think. I can't decide whether I like it or not, but anyway, there's a great selection of cars around here. Bugatti Bolide is in here, along with the Chiron and the Super Sport, and then there's some old Cadillacs to go with it. It's a fun car list. I don't even know what this is. But it's awesome. I love it. I want it. Well, actually, I can buy it. It's quite. It would be most of my money, but I do very much like it. And then you can have the good old Escalade race truck. There's a limo, for example, but this then throws up another problem, because for as exciting as the car list, a bunch of stuff is exclusive from the Crew 2. Now, I don't know whether this stuff is going to become unlockable further down the line in this game. I hope so, because some of, admittedly, that's horrific, but some really cool stuff is locked as vehicles from the Crew 2. Now, you can import your save from the second Crew, which I did, and weirdly I've got some vehicles. I'm not quite sure how, because I'm pretty sure I played the Crew 2 on PC, and I don't remember making an Ubisoft account and linking it with my Xbox, but regardless, so I've got a bunch of cars, that more than you would have at the start of the game, cars and bikes and some fun stuff, but I didn't really play the second game later on in its lifetime, so I didn't really unlock many of the stuff further on in the game's life cycle, which, you know, I'm certainly not the only one that would have got. So I got things like the Formula 1 cars and various bits and pieces, right? That's all very well and good. But let's say I, for example, want to buy a very specific car, and it's locked in the Crew 2, and I can't, there's no way to go and get it. It seems a shame and quite frustrating that so much stuff is locked behind being in an older game. I mean, there's still plenty of fun stuff, and the, you know, fingers crossed of it all is that the stuff will come out on this game properly. Like, oh, they do have the Spiker race car. I thought that, I knew there was, I was pretty sure there was one, but it is actually in the game. That's cool. Don't even know what the hell that thing is, but never mind. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff in here. There's some really wacky, there's some really interesting, unusual vehicles in here. There's some, you know, full-on race cars and whatnot. But having so many of them locked behind being in the early, just because I haven't unlocked them in an earlier game, very annoying. There's some very cool, like, futuristic race cars. That's fun. I mean, I won't drive them very much, but it's fun. There's a little hot rod. That kind of looks like the Morgan race car. It's cool. I mean, do I even need to say anything? I mean, what the... Oh. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate. I think that belongs there more than it does in the Crew. But it's fun. It's a fun car list. But again, don't lock stuff. Don't hide stuff behind the fact that I didn't play much of the late game. I mean, by all means, maybe have it as an exclusive vehicle to begin with, and then have them come out later on. That's okay, that's understandable, but there's no sign that that is the way that that's going to be at the moment. Admittedly, most of the things that are locked are special editions of a car, but they're the more exciting editions of a lot of them anyway. I mean, some of them like that is just downright hideous. And it's exclusive reward. That is not from the Crew 2 by the looks of it. Anyway, it's a weird and frustrating way of doing. This is just my main overarching theme with this game is really cool stuff, weird and confusing decisions to get there. Skyline Rally Raid car, why not? Why not? So yeah, there's all of that. I've completely lost my train of thought when going through all of that stuff. Excuse me, they want to talk to you constantly as well. I think there's a way to turn it off. I should probably investigate in that one. Yeah, I have completely and utterly lost all of my trains of thought. What are you doing, bus? Jesus Christ. But yeah, driving physics, pretty solid. Fun. It's fun activities. Oh, and in terms of like game modes and so on, this is where I was going to go next. There is... So when I was doing a stream on this one, I came across while just messing about. There's like a... what's it called? I've completely forgotten. Battle Royale, there we go. Battle Royale style demo derby game mode. It's not going to take up a huge amount of your time, but it's a fun little distraction. I haven't really got into the multiplayer racing side of it. I don't know whether I will particularly be that interested in it. But there's, you know, there's plenty of things to be doing in this one. One thing the free roam aspect that I dislike all of the ghost cars going on. Now, I know Horizon does it to an extent, of course, when you are just in free roam. The frustrating bit about this one is the ghost cars, so they don't have nameplates. I presume they might be players? I don't know. Actually, I presume that... I presume maybe it's the players there with the nameplates and the other sort of cars driving around are... Basically, I think they're trying to make the world seem more alive and more interactive and more exciting and so on. Okay, fair enough. But you have these random phantom races going on and around, and honestly, more than anything, they just cause additional difficulties. Like, it's fun to watch the first time it happens. However, for example, let's say there's a speed trap or you're trying to do an event down here. You've suddenly got these cars whizzing around and you're trying to figure out in a split second which is one that's actually interactable and which one isn't. You can kind of see like that. For example, you're trying to figure out, okay, I know I'm deliberately trying to show stuff off here. But yeah, you're just coming across these races that are just getting in the way of whatever you're doing. I don't know. I don't think the game would be hindered by not having them. I feel like they're just a bit unnecessary, really. Oh, that's going to be an accident. That's fine. They're just add some additional confusion. Not that you would necessarily be spending all that much time in free roam, but I don't know. I'm personally not a... They're not the most egregious thing in the world. I wouldn't mind if they weren't a thing. I wouldn't mind if it wasn't there, particularly. Oh, I would prefer get rid of them and have maybe a little bit more AI traffic, because like actual traffic cars, there aren't very many of them in very big cities. So I guess that is the point of those, is to make it feel busier. But you can't really interact with them. They're just, ghosts doing their own thing. I would have got rid of them and had more AI traffic. Personally, that would have been the way to go to make the cities feel a little bit bigger. You don't want too much in the city. You don't want too much traffic in an arcadey game necessarily, because you want to have fun to mess about with your car. This should be interesting because I've not actually done a drift event yet. This can only go well. As I said, there are plenty of different types of events to get stuck into. You've got off-road racing, you've got boat racing, you've got drift racing. As I said, you've got the demo derby stuff, that's back. There's drag racing, that is back as well. Haven't driven a drift car yet in this game. It was... the drifting aspect is not the bit that I particularly... is not my top priority, so I haven't actually got around to this. So let's see how this handle. I seem to remember it being quite jank in previous games, and already I am saying this is better than previous. Actually, for an actually don't hate it. No, this is not bad as far as drift handling goes. Oh, hey, yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. Oh, maybe you've overcooked that one a little bit. I am not the person to talk about drifting in video games. I don't know much about it. I can control oversteery cars. I'm the person that prefers an understeery car than an oversteery car when it comes to a race car. I can control it, but I'm not a big fan. I have to say, the drift car is sliding about in a manner that is... I say makes more sense almost than the road car version of this that I was throwing around that kind of felt like it pivoted weird. This actually feels much better. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I know this is just the first drift event I'm presuming you come across. There will probably be more exciting routes, and I am not the person to be, really talking about this. And I've got this all wrong through here. Yeah, okay. Good news, the drift handling is definitely better than the second. Not that I spent very much time with it in the second one, but from what I remember, this is far superior. In some ways, I think this is... I'm preferring this to Need for Speed in terms of the way the car is behaving. It feels more natural to me, anyway, than the Need for Speed games drifting events have felt. So there we go. That is good. That is good. We are going to finish. We will complete this one. And thankfully, well, this playlist has so far been one of the shorter ones, which is bloody nice. I'm grateful. Yeah, as I said, overly unnecessarily long playlists at the start of the game are not really what you want. For me, and I think probably for plenty of other people, being stuck in this sort of handholdy tutorial almost, it's just not the best introduction to the game. It just doesn't inspire me to want to keep playing. And the problem with that is there are so many games now. There are so many, I mean, I could say so many racing games, and you could even just say so many games in general. You know, if you like me have interests in multiple types of games, I like lots of games. The Crew has really struggled to capture my attention against other games that are currently out now. And then Forza Motorsport is going to come out soon. And then there's the WRC thing that's on the way. And I fear the start of this game is going to be off-putting to me and to others so much that it might not get as fair a shout as it deserves, because I think somewhere in there is a very good, fun game to be had. It just takes so long to access it. Well, we should be able to do this speed trap in a very fast spiker. And there we go. That has been completed. But yeah, for what it is, there is definitely fun to be had. And there's inevitably going to be comparisons to Horizon because, well, this has gone more down the Forza route of here's a big motorsport festival, go and drive. And it's a very different beast to Forza. You know, it's a lot more of an arcadey... Well, it is an arcadey game. Where are we going to go? Plane. Let's go grab a plane. It's an arcadey game, and you can just go and become a Spitfire whenever you fancy, and all of that. You can travel around like this because why not? Yeah, it is a very different game. If you enjoyed Forza, if you're a bit burnt out on Horizon 5, you will have fun with this. It's not a direct copy of Forza. It uses some ideas similar, but there is plenty of fun to be had. If you weren't a fan of Horizon 5, you might like this, as it's a little bit more of an arcadey take. I mean, I know Forza is arcadey, but this is considerably more arcadey. Do the wires... Nope, they don't tangle and play. You know, this is considerably more arcadey and everything. But it is just... You've just really got to get through the initial slog. And I feel like that's not a great way for a game to start. Now, there is... I will mention it. There is a second currency. There is some microtransactions on this one. Now, they are for car purchases. You can't... There's not really like a great... Well, you can't skip through the playlists and whatnot with the... I don't know. I doubt the secondary currency or whatever is going to be that significant. I don't want games to have it, but you know, it is there. It doesn't solve the issues of this just horrifically. Like I can't make the excuse of, oh well, it's grinding because they're trying to sell you something. There's nothing actually to buy. I'm not going to say that, you know, that still shouldn't be there, but there's no real way to skip this. Did I not? I did not get enough points. Jesus, that's actually quite tough. I didn't think I did too badly. Yeah, I know. I say it's either tad unnecessary. We know what greedy companies are like when it comes to microtransactions. But that doesn't seem to be what's hindering. It's not the lack of funds to buy new cars that's hindering progress. It's its desperation to handhold you through stuff. So, yeah. Here we go. That is a look at the Crew 2, a game that I want to like and struggle to like and might eventually start to like at some point. It's such a... Oh, it's a... Oh, I forgot to put landing gear down. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one to sum up. There is absolutely fun to be had with this game. There's no doubt about it. And if you're on the fence about buying it, there is definitely fun to be had if you can get through the beginning. And who knows what updates may bring for this one. It'll definitely be one that I'm keeping an eye on going forward. As I said, the Crew 2 got a lot of updates. This could well have, you know, a long, well-supported lifetime, but that is something that is just speculation at the moment. But there we go. That is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.